Yeah, welcome everyone. So today we'll start with listening to Shraddhavan's reading of a little bit of this Book 1, Canto 5. I'm putting it on in case anyone wants to look at the lines also.
As when a timeless eye annuls the hours, abolishing the agent and the act, so now his spirit shone out, wide, blank, pure. His wakened mind became an empty slate, on which the universal and soul could write. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load. A fire that seemed the body of a god consumed the limiting figures of the past and made large room for a new self to live. Eternity's contact broke the moulds of sense. A greater force than the earthly held his limbs. Huge workings bared his undiscovered sheaths. Strange energies wrought and screened tremendous hands, unwound the triple cord of mind and freed the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's gaze. As through a dress the wearer's shape is seen, there reached through forms to the hidden absolute a cosmic feeling and transcendent sight. Increased and heightened were the instruments. Illusion lost her aggrandising lens, as from her failing hand the measures fell. Atomic looked the things that loomed so large. The little ego's ring could join no more. In the enormous spaces of the self, the body now seemed only a wandering shell. His mind, the many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant. His spirit breathed a superhuman air. The imprisoned deity rent its magic fence, as with a sound of thunder and of seas, vast barriers crashed around the huge escape. Immutably coeval with the world, circle and end of every hope and toil, inexorably drawn round thought and act, the fixed, immovable peripheries effaced themselves beneath the incarnate's tread. the dire velamen, and the bottomless crypt between which life and thought forever move, forbidden still to cross the dim dread bounds. The guardian darknesses, mute and formidable, empowered to circumscribe the wingless spirit in the boundaries of mind and ignorance, protecting no more a dual eternity, vanished, rescinding their enormous role. Once figure of creation's vain ellipse, the expanding zero lost its giant curve. The old adamantine vetoes stood no more. Overpowered were earth and nature's obsolete rule. The python coils of the restricting law could not restrain the swift arisen God. Abolished were the scripts of destiny. There was no small death-hunted creature more, no fragile form of being to preserve from an all-swallowing immensity. The great hammer beats of a pent-up world heart burst open the narrow dams that keep us safe against the forces of the universe.
Yeah. So I have actually lost the thread that where we left last, but I this much I know that we have started the new lines now. I don't know where we left last before we started the synthesis of yoga. I could have a look, but I didn't. But it doesn't matter. It gave us a chance to repeat. So today maybe we'll start with page number 80, and it's just reading that we will do right now, and then we will take reflections later on for the new line, because these I feel that these are very important maybe to go over again and again because we forget. So yeah, the other thing which I was realizing that this part of the yoga of Ashupati is also just a second.
So this part of the yoga is also resonating a lot with how last time we took release from the heart and mind and release from ego, release from subjection to the body. So this time I have a suggestion that we can, after a few lines or a few bits, we can take actually cosmic consciousness from synthesis of yoga, because that is very much resonating with what, for example, we were hearing today with Shraddhavan's voice. But we will see. So first we will take up some Savitri, and then if if people agree, then we can take a little bit of cosmic consciousness. So Let's read a little bit. Starting from in a divine retreat from mortal thought.
Some echo has started from your end. It was okay when you started, and something just shifted 2-3
Okay.
minutes back.
Yeah, is it okay now? Better? अभी भी echo है? I
बहुत
changed
slight
the.
है.
अच्छा,
Okay.
I can change again and ask you if it is okay. Just a second.
अब कैसा है?
अब ठीक है बिल्कुल.
अच्छा, अब ठीक है. Okay, thank you. So anyone who would like to read can read 2 colored bits at once in a divine retreat from mortal thought.
Yeah, I'll go. I don't know. Dr. Anjali is unmute. Are you going, Dr. Anjali?
Can you little bit zoom? It is very, very small letters. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. In a divine retreat from mortal thought, in a prodigious gesture of soul sight, his being towered into pathless heights, naked of its vesture of humanity. As thus it rose to meet him bare and pure, a strong descent leaped down, a might, a flame, a beauty half visible with deathless eyes, a violent ecstasy, a sweetness dire, enveloped him with its stupendous limbs and penetrated nerve and heart and brain that thrilled and fainted with the epiphany. His nature shuddered in the unknown's grasp. In a moment
Yeah.
shorter than death, should I continue?
I think now maybe somebody else can read, so bit by
Yes.
bit people can read.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sure, definitely.
Yeah. Yes. Anyone who'd like to go next? The green part.
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Okay.
In a moment shorter than death, longer than time, by a power more ruthless than love, happier than heaven, taken sovereignly into eternal arms, hailed and coerced by a stark absolute bliss, in a whirlwind circuit of delight and force, hurried into unimaginable depths, upborne into immeasurable heights, it was torn out from its mortality and underwent a new and boundless change. An omniscient knowing without sight or thought, an indecipherable omnipotence, a mystic form that could contain the worlds, yet make one human breast its passionate shrine, drew him out of his seeking loneliness into the magnitudes of God's embrace. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone? So whoever takes next can take just the whole colored bit. Yes. Starting from as when a timeless eye annuls the hours.
I'll read. As when a timeless eye annuls the hours, abolishing the agent and the act, so now his spirit shone out wide, blank, pure. His vacant mind became an empty slate, on which the universal and soul could write. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load. A fire that seemed the body of a god consumed the limiting figures of the past and made large room for a new self to live. Eternity's contact broke the moulds of sense. A greater force than the earthly held his limbs. Huge workings bared his undiscovered shells. Strange energies wrought and screened tremendous hands, unwound the triple cord of mind and freed the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's gaze. As though a dress the wearer's shape is seen, there reach through the forms to the hidden absolute, a cosmic feeling and a transcendent sight. Increased and heightened were the instruments. Illusion lost her aggrandizing lens. As from her failing hand the measures fell, atomic looked the things that loomed so large.
Yeah, thank you. So I think these Canto 5 and also the cantos before this, starting from this Ashwapati's yoga, the release of the soul and then the spirit greatness, it's really, I don't get tired of just repeat. It's true for whole of Savitri, but these, because what I realize repeating it again and again is that why do I forget, because we read it again and again and then we forget. We read it again and then we forget. So maybe that's why I repeat it more for myself, whenever we are at Savitri. Sorry for the band. Because it's always good to remind somehow that this is our possibility, this is the path, and no matter how many times I will forget, I have to get up again and do the work. So, like this, like how we started today, in a divine retreat from mortal thought. मतलब हमारी हालत ये है कि कितनी बार ये पढ़ते हैं लेकिन सोच छोड़ते ही नहीं है, विचारों को छोड़ते ही नहीं है. सच लाइक दिस इज, क्या मूढ़ता कहेंगे, जड़ता कहेंगे, क्या कहेंगे इसको, जो भी है, अज्ञानता, मूढ़ता, जड़ता, ऑल द नेम्स दैट पीपल हैव गिवन टू दिस, कि कितनी बार तो ये मैंने अपने लिए रिपीट किया, बट व्हाई डोंट वी डू दिस फॉर अवरसेल्फ? क्योंकि उसके बिना होने नहीं वाला. आगे का जो काम बचा हुआ है करने वाला, वो जब तक हम विचारों और भावनाओं के दायरे में रहेंगे वो होने नहीं वाला आगे का काम. So this retreat that we have to give, in whatever little degree that we may give ourselves, this retreat from thought, feeling, sense, I feel that this has so much of importance on the path that just can't be stressed enough. His vacant mind became an empty slate on which the universal and soul could rise. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load. पता भी नहीं हम कैरी कर रहे हैं, हमको इतना प्रेशियस लगता है. When I was reading the forgotten load thing, it reminded me that example I use at times, that if I am born with chains around my hands, they begin to feel like part of my body and it doesn't even feel like a burden unless somebody points it out that ये क्या पहना हुआ है, इसकी जरूरत नहीं है. So a load which we aren't even aware of as a load, बहुत precious लगता है. That's why he uses the word cherished gift, because it appears so precious that नहीं, इसके बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे तो कैसे चलेगा. सोचना ही नहीं खत्म होता, हमारा बर्डन ही नहीं खत्म होते. Was taken from him like a forgotten load, and then all the limiting figures of the past consumed a new space, large room for a new self to live. And again, the last few lines also, which we reflected upon last time, that how Maya makes it appear so big, that अगर इसके बारे में नहीं सोचा तो मतलब possible नहीं है जीना. So in that moment, whatever our attached spots are, wherever we are attached, wherever we have weaknesses, वो इतना एक बड़ा रूप ले लेता है अपने सामने हमारे आगे, वो एक डार्क क्लाउड बन जाता है. वो लगता है कि नहीं ये बहुत जरूरी है, इसी को अटेंशन देनी, इसी को अटेंशन देनी, जबकि it doesn't give us anything but entanglement. And all of us have these attached spots, where there are imperfections, there are impurities, they have to be purified. वहीं पे हमारे साथ ऐसा होता है कि कुछ एक बड़ा सा विकराल सा बन जाता है हमारे सामने. Either it takes a form of a worry or an anxiety or a panic, or suffering, pain, turmoil. So in that space, how he is able to retreat himself from the mortal thought and rises, and stabilizes himself at a state or plane of consciousness, there illusion loses her aggrandizing lens. वो जो हमेशा हाथ में लेके खड़ी होती है माया आंटी. As from her failing hand the measures fell कि वो मैं इसको उल्लू कैसे बनाऊं, वो सोच रही मैं इसको कैसे उल्लू बनाऊं, इसको तो सब कुछ दिख रहा है. Beautiful lines. As from her failing hand the measures fell. कि तुम छुपा रहे थे, बट अब इससे कैसे छुपाओगे, जिसको इतना लार्ज पिक्चर दिखनी शुरू होगी. Atomic looked the things that loomed so large. We all have experience of these big dark clouds, that come from us to us time to time. इतना बड़ा लगता है वो, इतना जरूरी लगता है उस मोमेंट में. और इन रेट्रोस्पेक्ट देखें तो जस्ट अ डॉट इन, speck of dot in our life, the whole plan of life. Yes, Dr. Anjali, you don't have to raise the hand.
Just wanted to ask, what is this her? Because in between her comes. So just wanted to hear it. Huh?
So in this case, it's about illusion, Maya.
Maya, okay.
हाँ.
Thank you. Illusion lost.
Illusion lost her aggrandizing lens. कि वो जो लेंस हमेशा हाथ में लेके चलती है, जो हमें पता भी नहीं लगता, वो हमारी आंखों के आगे लगा देती है. है ना. सोचो कि हम चल रहे हैं, है ना, वी आर लुकिंग एट थिंग्स लेफ्ट राइट, और एक इनविजिबल आंटी चल रही है साथ में, वो लेंस उनके हाथ में है बहुत बड़ा सा, और हमें पता भी नहीं लगता, और वो लेंस एकदम से सामने आ जाता है और वो चीज बहुत बड़ी हो जाती है.
True.
है ना हमें उन आंटी की प्रेजेंस का पता है, ना हमें उस मैग्नीफाइंग ग्लास का पता है. वो दिखता नहीं है, इनटेंजिबल, दिखता नहीं है, बट उस मोमेंट में वो इतना एकदम से बड़ा हो जाता है. तो वो अब वो नहीं कर पा रही. ही इज नॉट इन द कैप्चर ऑफ माया और इल्यूजन because of the height he has reached, retreating from mortal thought. Yeah, so anything more here? We can go ahead today.
These lines, when you were reading, I know it's related to Ashwapati's yoga, but for me, because I've not seen Ashwapati, for me, the resemblance that was coming was, Sri Aurobindo's experiences in the jail, and the documentary which you sent as well, where exactly all these lines, how it's exemplified to his state, that one after the other, struggling with so much loneliness, and how loneliness is taking a toll on him, restlessness. And for me, it was very eye-opening as well that he underwent all of that. Because when I think of Sri Aurobindo, I think him as, as a guru, as somebody who's infallible. But to see him undertaken all these lines, whichever you take, even in the beginning, if you look up, there was one line which really struck me, and his experience, especially with the bowl, which was given to him to, to wash himself, to even for when he used to go to toilet, and the same bowl for eating, and the same water and everything, and how it used to really bring him so much misery. But like like for example, I would think that there was this illusion that, oh my god, the state is so impossible to bear, how would you do, the strained energies wrought and scream tremendous hands, all these lines in fact. But then suddenly how this asuric maya turns into yog maya when he actually sees Krishna everywhere. So that was quite revelatory for me, like that's just an imagery that came to me. So yeah.
Yes. So maybe at this point, just a second. Since you said the yoga of Ashwapati, let's take a little bit of. I am sure we all have read about it, but let's just in any case give 2 minutes to it. Yeah. I had shared this document with all of you. Don't know if anybody has so far touched upon it or not. Doesn't matter. We'll just take it up a little. Just the introduction of these characters. What is the significance? So although we know that it's Sri Aurobindo's yoga, as you said, Ashwapati's yoga, but it also is each one of us, symbol form में each one of us, because Lord of Horse, Ashwapati, and what he signifies. So let's take a little bit of this and then we can resume, starting from here. Anybody would like to read? Just these characters we can take. 3 paragraphs, 3-4 paragraphs.
Yeah, we did read them before once we finished with the synthesis, na? We had read
Did
them
we
during
start?
the session. Yeah, we
Acha,
read these things, but
acha.
happy to read again. But we did
Let's read it.
read it together, yeah.
ठीक है.
So the story of Savitri and Satyavan is a classic legend taken from the Mahabharata. Sri Aurobindo turns this legend into a beautiful symbol of his own spiritual experiences, keeping intact the main lines of the development of the story. The legend achieves its most profound significance in the hands of Sri Aurobindo. The names of the characters of the story have a meaning appropriate to its theme and the role of each character. Here they are not just personified qualities, but emanations of the conscious and active forces working in the universe. The light of truth consciousness with which Sri Aurobindo has written Savitri lays bare before us all these forces, their play and significance in the evolutionary march towards the divine life upon earth. Savitri represents an aspect of the divine consciousness. The word Savitri, being a derivation from Savitr, meaning the sun, symbolizes the truth. She comes down upon earth in response to the aspiration and the call of terrestrial humanity represented by Ashwapati, its protagonist and leader, in order not only to help and save mankind, but to lead it so as to transcend the egocentric, divisive, and fumbling mental consciousness and reach to the plane of the truth consciousness. Satyavan is the soul, carrying the divine truth of being within himself, but unconscious of it due to the soul's original descent into the grip of the inconscient grip of the inconscient from which it has evolved. He has developed into a fine being, but his is a search for reconciliation between the self and the world, or between spirit and matter. It is not by renouncing the world and its forms, but by an active participation in it that he seeks to establish truth in the very conditions of this terrestrial life. He has tried to realize this, but in vain. However, he feels the possibility of this realization in his meeting with Savitri. Ashwapati means the lord of tapasya or energy. The name literally means the Lord of the Horse, but in spiritual parlance, the horse signifies energy. Ashwapati, by his spiritual ascesis, represents the controlled and concentrated energy of the spiritual endeavor. Sri Aurobindo describes his own spiritual experiences through Ashwapati.
Yeah, I think this much I wanted to share. Thank you.
I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
If Ashwapati is, Sri Aurobindo, then who is Satyavan?
सोचते रह जाओगे. Yeah. Satyavan, see, we were just reading. Satyavan is each one of us. The truth of the being fallen in the grip of unconsciousness or the inconscient. अब कहने को तो हम सब भगवान हैं, बट हमें पता ही नहीं है कि हम भगवान हैं. हमें पता ही नहीं है कि वहां तक पहुंचना कैसे है ना. कहने को कहते हैं कि तुम्हारे अंदर कृष्ण बैठे हैं. मैं बोलूं भाई कहाँ बैठे हैं, मेरे को तो कोई ना फील होते हैं, ना प्रेजेंस फील होती है, ना मेरे एक्शंस उस हिसाब से. So this has fallen into forgetfulness in the grip of inconscience. तो तभी उसके लिए मैग्नेट जो बताया गया है, वो जैसे हम बात करते हैं सावित्री और द डिवाइन मदर, है ना. लेटर ऑन व्हेन सत्यवान हैज बीन सेव्ड बाय सावित्री विद द हेल्प ऑफ सावित्री, ही शेयर्स दैट शी इज द गोल्डन किड. तो हमको भी अगर अपने ट्रू कॉन्शियसनेस की तरफ बढ़ना है और ये ब्रिज गल्फ जो है इसको ब्रिज करना है, तो फॉर अस द की, द गोल्डन की दैट इज देयर इज द डिवाइन मदर, है ना. तो कि उनकी हेल्प से ये हम गल्फ को ब्रिज कर पाएंगे. सो ईच वन ऑफ अस इज सत्यवान एंड वी कांट स्टॉप देयर. दैट यहाँ पे अभी हमने पढ़ा जैसे कि अश्वपति, थ्रू अश्वपति इज योगा, श्री अरविंदो इज टॉकिंग अबाउट हिज ओन योगा. तो हम ये नहीं कह सकते. यू विल हैव सीन सो फार, यू विल हैव सीन दैट these experiences are our own experiences also, है ना. ये जो realizations हैं, release from the grip of ego, release from heart and mind, release into the cosmic consciousness. तो ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ अवतार को करना है. अवतार does the divine sacrifice to show us the way to human being, कि ये possible है, कर सकते हो. That's what we call as divine sacrifice. कि उसको जरूरत नहीं है वहां उतरने की जहां हम हैं, बट वो उतर के इसलिए जरूरत है क्योंकि उनको वो स्वाद चखना है कि अच्छा ये कितना पेनफुल होता है, अच्छा फिर इसके बाद क्या रास्ता हो सकता है ना. सो दैट्स व्हाई यू विल सी दैट अश्वपति इज आल्सो एट, you would relate to Ashwapati's experiences when we begin to do the yoga consciously. You concentrate your energy into the tapas and you ascend the planes of consciousness. Then we are Ashwapati. At times you will feel very resonating with Savitri, है ना. तो ये वो माइंड जो डिलिनिएशन करता है, कैटेगराइज करता है कि क्योंकि श्री अरविंदो अश्वपति है वो सत्यवान नहीं हो सकते, है ना. तो वो यहाँ नहीं कर सकते हम, वो कैटेगराइजेशन पॉसिबल नहीं है यहाँ का. Because at every moment in every different phase of our life, we will see we are resonating with different aspects of Savitri, different characters of Savitri. Yes. Anything else? Anyone? Okay. So let's take ahead. Take it ahead. Today we'll also go through some what I used to use earlier also when we were doing Savitri, the commentaries and reflections of Dr. Mr. M.P. Pandit. जो उनकी जो commentaries हैं that I used to use earlier, and plus Shraddhavan's commentary. So this time today, because these lines, they are very crisp commentaries and very important, I thought we'll just read them also along with all of this. So yeah, anyone wants to read? Blue bit.
Should I read?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. The blue one. Huh? The little ego's ring could join no more. In the enormous spaces of the self, the body now seemed only a wandering shell. His mind, the many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant. His spirit breathed a superhuman air. The imprisoned deity rent its magic fence. Just now you were talking about the imprisoned deity in us. Rent its magic fence.
Yeah. So when we were, we'll do towards the end, we'll do that meditation with Sunil Das music and Huta Bibi's painting. There we see actually one of the paintings with there is a ring and it is open. If you
Okay.
remember, if somebody remembers, there was one picture where there is a ring and it is an open ring. So
Mhm.
that's what the little ego's ring could join no more. Something has opened, जो एक as if and magic sense, जैसे वो होता है ना, एक स्पेल कर देते हैं किसी के ऊपर, एक बहुत पावरफुल बीइंग है, लेकिन आपने एक ऐसा स्पेल कास्ट कर दिया that he has forgotten all his powers. We see it in many mythological stories and like Hanuman for example. उनको श्राप मिला था कि जब आपको आप भूल जाओगे कि आपके पास जो पावर्स हैं, लेकिन फिर उसने बोला कि यार प्लीज ये कुछ तो कम कर दो टाइप. आई थिंक देन ही सेड दैट नहीं, जब अगर आपको कोई याद दिलाएगा तो फिर यू विल हैव द मेमोरी ऑफ द पावर. So like that, the imprisoned deity rent its magic sense. एक ऐसी sense, it's like magical sense. आप अगर ऐसे बोलो तो आप बोलोगे कहाँ है वो sense, दिख ही नहीं रही, but the being is trapped. And then the moment that spell is gone, immediately the fence is gone also. So the little ego's ring could join no more in the enormous spaces of the self. The body now seemed only a wandering shell. It has connected itself to the vastness of the cosmic consciousness. तो उसमें क्या है बॉडी एक, जिसको हम इतनी इम्पोर्टेंस देते हैं. मैं, मेरी बॉडी, उसका पूरे टाइम हमको पैसे इकट्ठे करने हैं, उसके लिए इंश्योरेंस स्कीम्स देखनी है ना, घर बनाना है, गाड़ियां लेनी है, आधे से ज्यादा टाइम हम इसमें लगाते हैं. सो इन दैट कॉन्शियसनेस, इन द वास्ट cosmic consciousness where he has now realized who he truly is, the body now seemed only a wandering shell. His mind, the many frescoed outer coat of an imperishable inhabitant. So अगर हम कहीं some people may have visited, like if you go to Italy, there are frescoes on the wall, है ना, वो माइकल एंजेलो या बड़े बड़े पेंटर्स ने बड़ी बड़ी पेंटिंग्स करी हुई हैं डिपिक्टिंग सम क्रिश्चियन स्टोरीज. तो एंड दिस इज ऑल ऑन द आउटर कोट, बाहर की जो दीवारें हैं उससे बहुत सुंदर सुंदर ब्यूटीफुल पेंटिंग, बट आफ्टर ऑल इट इज आउटर कोट. देयर इज समथिंग हिडन आल्सो इनसाइड. So the mind is nothing, जिसको हम इतना इम्पोर्टेंस देते हैं. वही मैं स्टार्टिंग जब शुरू किया था, that mortal thought, how much importance we give to the mortal thought and sense. His mind, the many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant within. अंदर कोई deity है जो सतत है, eternal है, imperishable. और frescoes तो perishable है ना, वो तो कुछ टाइम है, कुछ टाइम कुछ साल हुआ या एक बॉम्ब गिरा हो, गायब. His spirit breathed a superhuman air. Now he realized, one can say, the Leela that is going on. और अभी तक जो मैजिक सेंस लगी हुई थी, उसकी वजह से यू वर सफोकेटेड, है ना, वो जैसे ही वो खुली, his spirit breathed a superhuman air, है ना. अब उसको विंगलेस रहने की जरूरत नहीं है. It can expand his wings wide. और स्पेल किसने क्रिएट किया हुआ था? कोई बाहर से थोड़ी ना, कोई आउट, बाहर की शक्ति थोड़ी ना थी. हम वही, तभी तो श्री अरबिंदो, व्हेन ही सेज इन सिंथेसिस ऑफ योगा, that the more we realize ourselves as a witness, we realize, अरे मेरे पास ही तो सैंक्शन थी. कोई उल्लू और थोड़ी ना बना रहा था, मैं खुद बनने के लिए तैयार था तो हो रहा था. The moment I withdraw the sanction, I'm free. So magic sense ऐसा लगता है, but वो self created boundary, self created suffocation, and that is what we call Maya also. His spirit breathed a superhuman air. The imprisoned deity rent its magic sense. So this is what we will also read in the words of MP Panditji, what he shares here. Any comments, anyone? Anything that you liked or want to share?
No, when you said like how it's all self-created, and the video also that you had shared from Pradumanji in part 2 in the beginning, he had used the word Chaya and Maya. That how your Chaya never leaves you, and Maya, he said, it's nothing else but your self-created buddhi. Like, I haven't heard it fully, but that's what I remember, that your own brain is creating. Like when we ask what Maya is, we feel पता नहीं कहाँ पे छुपी हो कि कौन सा force कैसे कैसे act कर रहा है. And when there is a a speaker, a learned speaker who's saying कि वो ये माया यहाँ यहाँ वहाँ वहाँ नहीं, तो it's like it's shocking that really यहाँ है. अच्छा मतलब self created है. I mean, although you've heard it, self created miseries, self created boundaries, fences, and yet when you hear it again, it's your own brain. It's shocking. It's very good to know, so that a lot of time that one face, wastes के है कहाँ, हो क्या रहा है, चल क्या रहा है, so that one can at least start focusing now कि यहीं से आ रहा है और देख लो. Yeah.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, absolutely. That's why Kabir ji would say, माया माया सब कहे, माया लखे ना कोई. मतलब क्योंकि सब उधर देख रहे हैं, वही जो आप कह रहे थे ना, कोई दूर कहीं देखना चाह रहे हैं. माया माया सब लखे, सब कहे, माया लखे ना कोई, किसी को भी नहीं दिखती. जो मन से ना उतरे माया, मतलब इतनी क्लोज है, जो मन से ना उतरे माया कहीं सोए.
इसी को
वेरी ब्यूटीफुल हिंट.
जो विमत सेन को जो कहा गया कि ब्लाइंड जो है, इट्स ए सिंबल कि माइंड जो हमारा जो पहले प्योर था वो ब्लाइंड है, वो देख ही नहीं पाता है माइंड को. माइंड ही क्रिएट करता है और माइंड ही देख भी नहीं पाता है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. So the mind which has the power of illumination also, it has fallen blind. Yes.
Fallen blind.
Lost his kingdom.
Yeah. Lost its kingdom. माया के जाल को माँ ही काट सकती हैं.
बिल्कुल.
क्योंकि हम तो उसी वेब में घूमते जाते हैं.
So I found these words very revelatory. That's why I'm sharing with you, all of you. So let's take it up from this we had read, but again, this is also very beautiful regarding illusion, lost her aggrandizing life. So he shares here, man's outlook on the world, his perspective of life do not normally correspond to realities. And we will see this is exactly what Jetsunma also keeps sharing. that we don't see reality as it is. We have our own conceptions. So man's outlook on the world, his perspective of life do not normally correspond to realities, to things as they are. His self-regard, desire, and ego vitiate his judgment, and he perceives all from the viewpoint of the satisfaction and aggrandizement of his own self. वही जो माया की बात कर रहे थे, वो पर्दा एकदम से सामने आ जाता है ना, तो वो ये कह रहे हैं कि इसी की वजह से, क्योंकि मैं, हर चीज मैं ओरिएंटेड है, उसकी वजह से एज कि एकदम से वो कर्टन आगे आ जाता है, विच इज व्हाट वी कॉल इम्प्योरिटी. सम थिंग्स सीम टू मैटर मोर देन अदर्स. यही हम बात कर रहे थे कि एकदम से विकराल रूप ले लेती हैं चीजें. सम थिंग्स सीम टू मैटर मोर देन अदर्स. दे अज्यूम एन इम्पोर्टेंस क्वाइट आउट ऑफ प्रपोर्शन टू देयर रियल वर्थ. सब कुछ है नहीं उसमें, लेकिन आपके लिए वो इतनी ज्यादा हैवक क्रिएट कर रही हैं. Ever experienced this? I have experience of this. Really, छोटी सी चीज है, आपको वो इतना परेशान कर रही है. Some things seem to matter more than others. They assume an importance quite out of proportion to their real worth. There is a false premium on those that cater to his ego and vital interests. वहां पे ऐसा लगता है कुछ मिलेगा, false premium, कुछ promise hidden. That's why they have such a big roof for me. They are given exaggerated value. When the higher consciousness dawns upon man, this illusion fostered by ignorance and ego breaks down, and what looked huge before appears in its true proportion of its insignificance. Then we can say, so what? ये भी हो गया तो so what? अच्छा वो भी हो गया तो so what? I lost that relationship, I lost this person, that work, that name, that respect, that fame, जो भी बड़ा लग रहा है अभी हमको इस मोमेंट में. So what? So in that true practical realization, we are actually able to see its insignificance. इतना बड़ा है नहीं मैं जितना बना रही हूँ. But for that we have to step back. Otherwise वो बड़ा ही रहता है हमारे लिए. This is what atomic look, the thing that looms so large. Now this ego ring, the little ego's
This is by
rings
MP
could
Pandit
join.
coming tree. This is by
हाँ जी,
MP.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
You share the link. You will share the link.
Yes, I can share the link. Of course, everything is on Google. As long as man lives in ignorance, it is his ego that rules his life movements. All is determined in terms of the satisfaction of his little ego, and things are welcomed or rejected as they serve or disserve its claims. The ego thus puts a ring, as if कि वो एक boundary बना रही है हमारे around, as it were an enclosing fence round man, so that all the movements of his life may revolve within it alone. तो जो चीजें हैं वो किसको cater करते रहे? मैं, मेरी डिजायर, मेरी सेटिस्फेक्शन, मेरे परिवार, मेरा रिलेशन में, तो वो एक बाउंड्री खिंच गई आपके आसपास. With the advent of a higher or the outbreak of a deeper consciousness, however, this wall of the ego is broken, and man emerges into wider spaces. This is what we were reading, no? The little ego's ring could join no more. The ego thins and snaps. So first happens the thinning and then the snapping. Then again, what the lines that we just read. With the loosening of the constrictions of the ego, the consciousness begins to expand, spread out on all sides. As it touches the inner deep, it arrives at the vaster ranges of the self, which is one with the universal self. This is a practical experience. We can read about it, but first, if we ever get a glimpse of it, then we know. When one breathes and lives in this consciousness of the self, the body loses its obsessive hold. One realizes that the body is merely a garment used by the self to clothe itself. Bodies change, but the soul always is. The position is reversed. In ignorance, it is the body that seems to carry the soul. In state of knowledge, the soul is found to hold the body. A very interesting piece. One, I'll just pause for a moment. So the example that masters had used here is like that of a space. अब आप क्या बोलोगे कि इस घर में स्पेस है? यूजुअली तो हम यही बोलते हैं ना, इस घर के अंदर स्पेस है. बहुत रेयरली क्या कभी हम बोलते हैं कि स्पेस के अंदर घर है.
Sure. True.
Right? So masters have related, when we talk of consciousness, who we truly are, that when we realize that I am the space, and all these separate looking bodies are held within that space. तो फिर आप कहाँ कह सकते हो कि आप दूसरे बंदे से अलग हो? चाहे वो टेररिस्ट भी है, वो क्रिमिनल भी है, आपका एनिमी भी है, लेकिन आप उसको अपने आप से कट नहीं कर सकते फिर, if that is a true realization, because you realize that it is impossible to cut. So the space is holding all these houses within it. And that's how in true consciousness we are all one, because we are that space. अब ये है कि अभी हम बोल रहे हैं, but then it becomes a true realization for a Buddha, for example. And then we get powers. When this happens, when true realization happens, then that's why आपने यहाँ से कुछ छेड़ा और वहां जाके तार खिला. अभी वो हम नहीं कर पाते because I am identified with the body consciousness. मुझे लगता है अरे मैं यहाँ पे खत्म हूँ, दूसरा बंदा इतना दूर बैठा है, क्या कनेक्शन है मेरा? कुछ भी नहीं. But when there is a practical realization that I stabilize my stance at that consciousness, actually you will see that's why these things happen. These powers that we realize, clairvoyance, telepathy. Many a times you are away. I have, seen these kind of things, contemporary things happening, that you are far away from your phone, right? You suddenly, as if a thought visits you, that, oh, this needed to be done. And the moment you pick up your phone after 15 minutes and then you look at the time, when did that message come? You will see that it was exactly at the same time when you thought that, oh, that thing had to be done, and the message arrived. How did you know that what was happening? So when we begin to expand in degrees, and we all expand in degrees, right? एकदम से वो सबका ऐसा नहीं होता है था करके खुल गया और खुल के बैठा है. काफी टाइम तक वो पेंडुलम जैसा मूवमेंट चलता है. You have glimpses, not stabilized, and then slowly in degrees we become vaster and vaster. So उसमें these kind of things become commonplace. That and then you know that okay, this happened. These are many stories about that people knew that, oh, somebody is dead, and he was actually dead during that time. आपने सुना होगा, काफी stories हैं इन चीजों के बारे में. So this is when the consciousness, even to a little degree, expands into something greater than what we keep limited to the body. Yeah, so this was around, in the state of knowledge, the soul is found to hold the body. Similarly, the mind loses its habitual importance. It is no more taken to be the most developed and the highest part of man. It is realized to be only a decorated vestibule, the frescoes that we were reading, the mind many frescoed outer court. Decorated vestibule, again the outer part. Vestibule we read earlier, the outer part or the opening, the entrance. To be only a decorated vestibule to the chamber of the eternal indweller, the divine self. अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है, स्टार्टिंग पार्ट है सिर्फ ऊपर का. In spite of its varied light, the mind is still not the sanctum. Sanctum हम किसको कहते हैं? जब कोई भी मंदिर होता है ना, उसके बिल्कुल जो गर्भगृह होता है ना, बिल्कुल डीप डेप्थ में जाके जहाँ पे आप डेटी होती है, that is what is called the sanctum sanctorum. The mind is still not the sanctum, it is only the brilliant outskirts. तो अगर हम पूरे जन्म भर उसी में अटके रहेंगे तो अंदर कब जाएंगे? तो इसलिए उसको छोड़ के अंदर जाना चाहिए. With all these changes rapidly coming over him, Ashwapati emerged out of the human belt into the superhuman. His spirit rose into a new dimension. और ऐसा नहीं है उस समय की जो माइंड का डायमेंशन है वो खत्म हो गया, वो अभी भी एग्जिस्ट करता है, बट अब आप कुछ और चीज है जिसके लिए यू आर टारगेटिंग योरसेल्फ. तो ये आई थिंक दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि जैसे काफी बार हम बोलते हैं ना, नहीं पहले ये खत्म हो जाए, अभी तो ये वाली चीजें चल रही हैं, अभी वो वाली चीजें चल रही हैं, फिर उसको अटेंड करेंगे. तो हमको ये पता होना चाहिए कि वो कभी खत्म नहीं होने वाला. बट ये है कि जब हमें ट्रूली कन्विंस हो जाए हम कि ओके नाउ दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव टू अटेंड टू, then that doesn't seem that important anymore. We can keep it aside and give priority to something which needs to be attended. Yeah. So let's take this much. I think we read ये वाला पढ़ा ना. हाँ, the imprisoned deity rent its magic fence. अच्छा, ये इसके आगे का है, आगे का बाद में लेते हैं, पहले पढ़ लेते हैं. Yes. Anything more here? Anyone? Yeah. Taru, you want to read? Mute.
The imprisoned deity rent its magic fence as with the sound of thunder and of seas, vast barriers crashed around the huge escape, immutably coil with the world, circle and end of every hope and toil, inexorably drawn round thought and act, the fixed, immovable peripheries efface themselves beneath the incarnate's tread.
Yeah. So they say that when this veil magic fence is rent, there is even like a loud noise of which some people may hear, that tha karke jaise kuch toota. So anything can happen, and they say that actually there is a kind of a loud noise, as with the sound of thunder and of seas. Vast barriers crashed around the huge escape. Immutably co-eval with the world, as if that इतना ज्यादा वो जुड़ा हुआ है इसके साथ that you can't separate it. So immutably, you can't just, it's just immutable, you can't change it. And that's what we see, that the moment we are in egoistic state, हम सबका experience है, you cannot be expansive and vast. You have immutably, along with that, suffocation, even if there is aggrandizement of the ego for a while, very soon limitation you see, you feel pain, you feel suffocation, turmoil. So he says that immutably co-eval with the world, it's joined with the world, circle and end of every hope and toil. And we will see that हमारे hope पे कितना, मतलब एक सुई तक जाएंगे उसके बाद गिर जाएंगे, आगे बढ़ ही नहीं पाते ऐसे. So he's saying that in this plane of existence of egoistic consciousness, everything is so limited. आप सांस लेना शुरू करो और सांस खत्म. सर्कल एंड एंड ऑफ एवरी होप एंड टॉयल. कितना दूर जाओगे भागेगा तो कितना दूर भागेगा, है ना. तो एज ए हमने देखा होगा काफी मूवीज में होता है कि वो प्रिजनर को लग रहा है कि वो देख मैं कितनी दूर भाग आया, लेकिन है वो अभी भी उसी के बाड़े में. Inexorably, ruthlessly drawn round thought and act. Every thought has a limitation. Every act we feel so limited, suffocated. So when we are living in this plane of egoistic consciousness, the limited self, in the world of duality, we can't escape pleasure and pain. Where pleasure is, pain comes hiding behind it. Where expansion is, limitation comes hiding behind it, in the level of the egoistic consciousness. So in this world, says immutably co-eval with the world, circle and end of every hope and toil, inexorably drawn round thought and act. The fixed, immovable peripheries. अब क्या हुआ? For this world, this suffocated, limited world for him started to recede. It is not valid for him anymore. The fixed, immovable peripheries. ऐसा लगा कि भाई इस बाउंड्री से तो निकलना इस जन्म में संभव नहीं है. Those fixed, immovable peripheries effaced themselves as if they disappeared, effaced themselves beneath the incarnate thread. The Godhead within, the imprisoned deity, once it was out, shining its magnificence, and now walking. Imagine, a big giant walking. Incarnate thread. Uske samne, they don't have any existence. Those fixed, immovable boundaries that appeared so solid, as if those laws you cannot escape. Everything was escaped. So he was now away from all these determinisms of life in which we are suffocated all the time. Now we read commentary here. Yes. The spirit embodied in Ashwapati, so long cabined and suppressed by the various elements of physical, vital, and mental nature that ever wall in the consciousness with their narrow limits, broke out of its confines. In the sudden expansion and soaring of his being, all the obstinate obstructions, nahi jari, the moment he changed the plane, fell asunder with loud reports. This is what we were reading. Sound of thunder and of seas. So they say that ऐसी आवाज भी सुनी जाती है जब ये boundary टूटती है तो. It is a fact of yogic experience that when certain long-standing barriers in nature are broken, there is heard by the subtle ear at times, even by the physical, distinct sounds of explosions or snapping. Next few lines. In this material universe, there are inevitable boundaries beyond which human thoughts and hopes and efforts and acts cannot go. The states of the basic inconscience and the pervading ignorance of this world impose such limitations that after a certain point is reached, things can only circle around themselves. They cannot expand further. These boundaries disappeared as the being of Ashwapati, seized by the divine influx, advanced on its onward journey. Example of this can be, many a times you feel like in relationships, in love, we are trying in our egoistic plane, we are trying to be selfless. All of us must have some experience of this. आप देखोगे, you are giving, you are trying to be selfless, one day will come, or many days may come, that you will say, यार कितना दूंगी मैं, फिर मैं पे आ गए ना ये boundary. So in the plane of egoistic consciousness, we cannot escape this मैं. कभी ना कभी आके वो पकड़ लेगा. ऐसा लगेगा कुछ दिन रहेंगे आपके कि यार कितनी सेल्फ गिविंग चल रही है, देखो मैं डिटैच वे में आई एम गिविंग माई सेल्फ, ऑफरिंग माई सेल्फ. बट क्योंकि अगर इंटरनल योगा नहीं चल रहा है, if you are not ascending the planes of consciousness, then very soon a disappointment is just lurking around the corner, क्योंकि वो हो अभी भी मैं के स्टेट से ही रहा है, और मैं में तो बाधा है ना, मैं ही तो वो पेरिफेरी है, मैं ही तो वो सर्कमफ्रेंस है, और वहां हम बात नहीं हो पाते, वहां हम डिटैच भी उतने हो पाते हैं कि चलो यार इस मामले में मैं डिटैच हूँ, बस उसमें नहीं हूँ मैं डिटैच, है ना, इतने लिमिट्स है हमारी. But how to transcend those limits, which is birthright for each one of us, ascension in the plane of our consciousness. And that is why Mother Sri Aurobindo both, they stress so much upon go deep, deep, deep within your being. Find out the true consciousness, because that is what will help us ascend. That will tell us that is staying in the egoistic consciousness is not the right way. It is the psychic that tells us. है ना, वो राइट नॉलेज, राइट इंटेलिजेंस आती है तो आप बेशक काम अभी भी पुराना वाला करने लगोगे, लेकिन आपको उसी समय पता लग जाएगा ये एटीट्यूड ठीक नहीं था, अगेन इगोइस्टिक कॉन्शियसनेस. And then when you have more of these instances, you begin to feel more helpless, and then what happens? You have no other option but to ascend in the plane of consciousness, because दिल बंद करके कोई भी नहीं रह सकता, हार्ट शट ऑफ करके कि भाई मैंने इतना प्यार किया, मेरे को प्यार मिला नहीं, जाने वो कैसे लोग थे जिनके प्यार को प्यार मिला, हमने तो बस खुशियां मांगी कांटों का. ये कौन बोल रहा है? इगोइस्टिक कॉन्शियसनेस ही तो बोल रही है, हमने तो बस खुशियां मांगी कांटों का हार मिला, है ना, क्योंकि उस प्लेन पे वो पॉसिबिलिटी ही नहीं. और क्योंकि मेरे लिए ये भी पॉसिबल नहीं है दैट आई क्लोज माई हार्ट एंड शट ऑफ from connecting with all the beings with which I live, वो भी पॉसिबल नहीं है मेरे लिए, या तो वो किसी के लिए वो पॉसिबल हो. तो फिर क्या आप करते हो? देन यू ट्राई टू रीच अ प्लेस इन योर कॉन्शियसनेस वेयर इट बिकम्स पॉसिबल टू लव, टू बी लविंग एंड येट बी डिटैच. तो वो दर्द है जो हमारे पिछवाड़े में वो आग बन के हमें वो रॉकेट की तरह वो प्रोपेल कर रहा है कि आगे बढ़ना ही पड़ेगा और कोई आपके पास चारा नहीं है. दैट्स हाउ पेन बिकम्स सो हेल्पफुल. राइट, क्योंकि प्यार करना छोड़ नहीं सकते, दैट्स आवर ट्रू नेचर. स्टोन बन जाएंगे, अच्छा नहीं लगता कुछ अंदर से, अगर साइकिक हल्का सा भी अवेकन है तुम्हें पता लग जाएगा ये गलत एटीट्यूड है, ये ठीक नहीं है. सो यू विल हैव टू ओपन योरसेल्फ, एंड येट when we open ourselves and go further, we realize that there is no other love possible but a detached love, and attached love is an impossibility if not in the ego consciousness. हो ही नहीं पाएगा वो आपसे. और अगर अटैच लव अभी भी है तो जब वो दर्द देगा तो वो हमको हमारे आगे बढ़ने का जरिया बनता है कि अब आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा. थैंक गॉड कि हमें दर्द से दर्द होता है. अगर दर्द से दर्द नहीं होता तो
जब भी भूल जाएंगे फिर से लिप्त हो जाएंगे, फिर एक झटका लगेगा, मदर ने गिव इट हो कि ठीक है फिर से समझ में आएगा, फिर से शुरू होगा again. बट धीरे धीरे इट्स अ ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू एक्सरसाइज डिटैच्ड अटैचमेंट.
अब वही है ना कि अभी देखो, अभी हमें क्या लग रहा है कि हम कल्टीवेट कर सकते हैं इसको. माय पॉइंट इज कि अगर हम कल्टीवेट करना शुरू भी करें, if I continue to remain on the plane of ego consciousness, yet I am cultivating detached love, for example, detached interaction, there will come a point in my life that it would not be possible anymore. क्योंकि ईगो रहते हुए मेरे लिए डिटैचमेंट पॉसिबल नहीं है. ईगो बाय नेचर ही सहज है. फेविकोल का मजबूत छोड़ तो वो सिर्फ एक ही से जोड़ना है, वो डिवाइन है. एक बार वो उस पे जाके चिपक गया तो फिर उसके बाद प्योरिटी ज्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी है ना. अगर मैं ये बोलूं कि ईगो रहते हुए मेरे लिए डिटैच लव पॉसिबल है, आई पर्सनली फील दैट फॉर मी इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. मुझे ईगो से, एंड दैट इज व्हाट लीड्स टू, वही मैं कह रही थी ना कि वो पिछवाड़े में आग लगा दी ना आपको पता लग गया कि ईगो में रहते हुए बीइंग अ सेपरेट सेल्फ, a detached kind of love is not possible. अब आप क्या करोगे? अब थ्रेशोल्ड पे खड़े हो, पीछे जा नहीं सकते, ईगो है, आगे का पता नहीं है क्या है, बट आगे ही जाना पड़ेगा क्योंकि पीछे वापस मुड़ना पॉसिबल नहीं। पुराने वेज हमारे जो है, जो हमको बार बार तकलीफ देते हैं, वो आपके लिए पॉसिबल नहीं
नहीं जा सकते।
है ना, पीछे नहीं जा सकते। क्यों अपने आप को, वही जो हम कल प्रेयर की याद कर रहे थे ना, डू नॉट टॉर्मेंट माय
छोड़ आए वो
चाइल्ड।
गलियां।
एग्जैक्टली, हाँ। तो बार बार टॉर्मेंट हम अपने आप को करेंगे नहीं, तो
नहीं कर
पॉसिबिलिटी
सकते।
एक ही रह जाएगी, आगे बढ़ने की।
हम्म,
तो मुझे लगता है कल्टीवेशन, जब हम बात करते हैं कि कल्टीवेशन, remaining a separate self, cultivation of detached love is an impossibility. So the best possible is that remaining in ego, what can I do? Since I am chip chipa like Shahid, let me attach to the divine. That can happen. है ना? तो ये थोड़ा
ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ऑफ
सात्विक,
लव।
हाँ हाँ, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ऑफ लव तो थोड़ा आगे की बात हो गई ना। ये तो अभी हम चैनलाइज उसको सही करने की बात कर रहे हैं कि जहां हम लोगों से चिपकते हैं और सिचुएशन से चिपकते हैं, वहां डिवाइन से चिपक जाओ। मदर कहती है ना, जैसे क्लिंग ओनली टू द डिवाइन, बिकॉज आई नो आई एम क्लिंगिंग, तो चलो क्लिंग टू द डिवाइन। एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन वी क्लिंग टू द डिवाइन, then slowly all the knowledge of the right interactions and everything, that it begins to descend, मतलब उसके अलावा कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है, वो होना ही होना है। और जब गलत जगह पे चिपकते हैं तो वो दर्द देता है, तो जहां दर्द हो रहा है इसका मतलब फिर कहीं मैं चिपक गई, है ना, फिर गलत चिपक गई, फिर गलत चिपक गई। ये हमारी इम्प्योरिटीज हैं जो हमको बार बार गलत जगह चिपका देती हैं, और इन्हीं पे हम सबका काम है।
That makes sense.
और ये वाला जो गाना हम याद कर रहे थे, इस पे सो मेनी ऑफ अस कुड एक्चुअली रिलेट विद इट, है ना। जाने वो कैसे लोग थे जिनके प्यार
बिल्कुल
से प्यार
बिल्कुल।
मिला। और क्यों चलते हैं ये इतने गाने, क्योंकि हम वो प्लेन ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस छोड़ ही नहीं पाते। और ऐसा भी नहीं कि सिर्फ इस तरह के गाने, ऑफ कोर्स यू नो सो मेनी गुड अदर गुड सॉन्ग, वो जैसे वो वाला है, इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मतलब व्हाट अ, एंड इट शिफ्ट्स योर प्लेन ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस।
कभी किसी को मुकम्मल जहां नहीं मिलता, कहीं
आगे,
जमीन तो कहीं आसमान नहीं मिलता। वन हैज टू एडजस्ट, और वन हैज टू अंडरस्टैंड कि यू आर नॉट परफेक्ट। वर्ड आपको कभी नहीं मिलेगा,
लेकिन मिलेगा हमें तो,
हमें
जो
मिलेगा।
अरविंदो ने
अब
प्रॉमिस
अब
किया,
हम अब ये एक दूसरी तरह का
सबको
है,
मिलेगा।
जिसको कहते हैं ना, थोड़ा थोड़ा वो जो नशा है, जो उसका स्वाद है कि अब इस ये क्लासेस जैसे अभी थी, तो मुझे दो लोगों को छोड़ना पड़ा। एक को मुझे 6:45 कहना पड़ा मेरी क्लास है, बिकॉज आई वांटेड टू बी, और एक को मुझे 1 मिनट पहले की मेरी क्लास है। अदरवाइज अगर पहले होते तो ठीक है, ये हम हो जाता। लेकिन अब ये लगता है, और हफ्ते भर जैसे इस क्लास के लिए वेट करते हैं कि जो इम्प्योरिटी है सावित्री रीडिंग से तो वो होती है, सावित्री क्लास अटेंड करने से उससे ज्यादा क्लीनिंग भी होती है, एनर्जी भी मिलती है। दैट इज व्हाट मुझे लगता है कि, तो ये वही इम्पैक्ट है जो सावित्री रीडिंग का असर होता है।
बिल्कुल। और जैसे वही है कि श्रवण मनन, है ना, जो बोला गया है योग में, तो मतलब बहुत अच्छी बात है। जैसे ये हमारे पास श्रद्धावान की रीडिंग है, या वी हैव आल्सो इन मदर्स वॉइस अ फ्यू लाइंस ऑफ सावित्री, आल्सो इन मंत्रास ऑफ सुनील दा। तो ये अगर बैकग्राउंड में, फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेन एवर वी आर ड्राइविंग और हैविंग अ टाइम वेयर मैकेनिकल वर्क आप कर रहे हो, तो बैकग्राउंड में अगर ये चला दिया जाए और उस पर ध्यान रहे, इट सेव्स अस आल्सो फ्रॉम अ लॉट ऑफ जो गोल 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 सर्कलिंग थॉट्स जो होती हैं।
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली।
यस, तो वी मस्ट डू दैट। अगर पता है कि सर्कलिंग थॉट्स हैं, या तो हो कि मन शांत है, देन इट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग। बट अगर मन शांत नहीं है और पता है कि गोल 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 कहीं और ही खोने के चांस ज्यादा हैं, तो बहुत अच्छा है कि इसको डिटॉक्सिफाइंग समथिंग उसको चला दिया जाए और ध्यान उस पे रहे बैकग्राउंड में. Very purifying in nature. Okay, so let's, if not any last comments, if there are, you can share. If last comments, anyone?
These two references, which one you talked about, brief introduction by Kailasa, the link for this, and this, because I have that small book by MP Pandit, but this one seems which you had just shared now.
I don't have a book. ये तो मैंने Google में there is a link I stumbled upon. I
तो
shared
Google
that
का
link.
link है.
हाँ Google का ही link.
क्योंकि थोड़ा मीनिंग वो ठीक है कि मीनिंग के लिए नहीं, यू जस्ट रीड इट, लेकिन थोड़ा मीनिंग समझ में आता जाता है. जैसे नाउ दिस स्टेज सिस्टम की वो ठीक रहता है, एंड यू कैन रिलेट मोर. अदरवाइज इट समटाइम्स इट बिकम्स मैकेनिकल.
Yes. And I think that's why the English of Savitri by Shraddhavan is so helpful, because she just shares a little bit on that, each line she shares little bit कि ये हल्का सा अंदाजा मिल जाता है, and then of course we can do it on our own.
Right.
I'll share the link. We'll do a little reflection, meditation, whatever, with these music with Sunil Das and Ruta Didi's painting. Now that we are reading these lines, maybe we can relate more with the painting.
न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनं हृदा मनीषा मनसा विकल्पितो यानि तद्विदूर्मृतास्ते भवन्ति यदा पञ्चावतिष्ठन्ते ज्ञानानि मनसा सह बुद्धिश्च न विचेष्टति तामाहु परमां गतिम् यदा सर्वे प्रभिद्यन्ते हृदयस्येह ग्रन्थयः अथ मृत्योरमृतो
A large luster lit the mighty page. A purpose mingled with the whims of time. A meaning met the stumbling pace of chance, and fate revealed a chain of seeing will. A conscious wideness filled the old dumb space. In the void he saw throned the omniscience supreme.
न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनं हृदा मनीषा मनसा विकल्पितो यानि तद्विदूर्मृतास्ते भवन्ति यदा पञ्चावतिष्ठन्ते ज्ञानानि मनसा सह बुद्धिश्च न विचेष्टति कामाहु परमां गतिम् यदा सर्वे प्रभिद्यन्ते हृदयस्येह ग्रन्थयः
Yeah, so I hope we saw these pictures relating to a few lines, which are very interesting. This was the one he goes doing. Then his mind became empty, clean slate on which the universal and soul could write. I think this would be maybe that a center of the illimitable, center but no circumference. We had read a line here in this canto. A limited center of the illimitable. Earlier we had read. His hope a star between cradle and grave. I think this one would be वो जो वेस्टिब्यूल वाला पढ़ा था ना हमने वो मंदिर Christian sort
Inner
of
chamber.
yeah.
Inner chamber.
Yes. So it's very nice. I find it very interesting to relate the lines to them. Anyway, so yes, thank you everyone. We'll
Thank
stop
you,
here.
Monica. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.